The 90-degree corner joint is the most common application performed using the trend worktop jigs. For all these operations, the router used should have a minimum power rating of around 1300 watts and a half-inch collet capacity. The first stage of the operation is to fit the guide bush assembly. A trend sub-base set is used consisting of a sub-base, centering pin and a 10mm guide bush used for alignment. The centering pin is inserted in the collet of the router. The sub-base, with the 10mm guide bush fitted, is located over the centering pin. This is fixed to the router base plate to ensure precise alignment with the pin. The 10mm guide bush is then removed and replaced with the 30mm guide bush. This is the size needed to work with the jig, along with the half-inch diameter cutter. The centering pin is also removed. The cutter used here is the replaceable tip model. A new solid carbide tip can be inserted in this cutter when necessary, making it very economical for continuous use. The right angle joint consists of a female and male profile on the adjoining worktops. The Combi 650 jig is being used, and the female part of the joint will be done first. The length of the female cut is determined by the width of the male. To set this length, location bushes are inserted in the red dot holes in the jig. These are held securely in position by the rubber O-ring on each bush. The length stop is fixed loosely in place at the back edge of the jig. The jig is then laid across the worktop, and the stop is tightened. This traps the worktop between the red dot location bushes and the stop. The location bushes are then removed, with the stop fixed in position. The bushes are then inserted into the green dot holes, which are used to cut the female joint. The bushes are placed against the post form edge, with the stop on the cut edge of the worktop. The jig is held in position with trend G-cramps. The cut is then made, holding the router firmly against the jig at all times. The depth of the cut is about 8mm in each pass. To ensure the laminated surface of the worktop doesn't chip or break out, the direction of the cut should always be into the post form edge. Once the female joint is cut, the worktop should ideally be placed on the units. The male worktop is placed on top and supported in position. A pencil line is drawn round the female cut, marking the position for the male joint. Because of the offset between the cutter and the guide bush, the cutter path is 8.5mm over from the edge of the jig. A line is drawn on the worktop to mark this offset, ensuring the cutter cuts along the first line. To cut the male joint, the length stop is removed from the jig. The location bushes are moved from the green dot holes to the red dot holes. The jig is positioned with the location bushes firmly against the post form edge and aligned against the offset line. The jig is now clamped, together with the waste material, which will be cut free. The male joint is then cut. Again, the cutter is fed into the post form edge to prevent breakout. The male profile can now be placed in position to check the fit of the joint. If the walls of the room aren't square, the jig can be used to cut an out-of-square joint. Only the male cut need be adjusted. Once a pencil line has been drawn on the male worktop, the jig can be positioned to suit the angle required. The limit is 5 degrees over a length of 600mm. The 8.5mm offset needs to be allowed for again when cutting. The next task is to cut the recesses for the panel butt connectors. The location bushes are inserted into the yellow dot holes to use the recessing template feature. The end stop is located so that the first recess is cut approximately 150mm away from the post form edge. The same cutter and guide bush combination are used with the recessing template. The bolt of the connector should ideally follow the center line of the worktop. With this 40mm worktop, the depth of the cut will be 28mm. 2 panel connectors are used. The same operation is carried out on the female worktop. The position of the stop is marked. The stop and the location bushes are now moved to the other side of the jig. Where support directly beneath may not be possible, the joint can be reinforced with a biscuit joint. The biscuit jointer cutter is set to route a slot along the center line of the edges to be joined. The smallest bearing is used with the biscuit jointer to give a slot deep enough for number 20 biscuits. With this 600mm worktop, 4 biscuits are used. PVA adhesive is applied to the biscuits and the male and female joints before bringing them together. The panel butt connectors are fixed from underneath and bolted into position. Any excess adhesive is removed. The worktop is then secured along its length to the carcasses with countersunk screws. Here, a drill bit from the Snappy Quick Release drill system is used. The Snappy Quick Chuck has been fitted to the power drill, and the Snappy drill bit simply snaps into the Quick Chuck. The drill bit can be replaced quickly with the Snappy screwdriver bit, and the whole operation completed in seconds. The complete Snappy range comprises the Quick Chuck, Snappy drill bits, countersinks, drill bit guides, and screwdriver bits. As well as right-angle joints, the Combi 1001 jig can also produce a 22.5-degree corner joint, ideal for cooker hob units. This makes an attractive focal point for a kitchen layout. The joint is built up in sequence, first by cutting the worktop facing the left wall, then the back section, and finally the middle section. The jig holes marked with blue dots are used throughout the operation whilst cutting the worktop sections. For the left wall section, the location bushes are placed in the blue dot holes. The jig is then clamped into position, this time using the accessory clamps. These have the advantage of combining a width setting stop together with a clamping facility. This means that the router path can be kept clear. G-clamps are also used to hold the waste piece. With the same guide bush and cutter combination, a straight cut is made across the worktop. The cut is made with the laminate face up, cutting into the post form edge to complete the first 22.5-degree section. For the back wall section, the blue dot location bush positions are again used while cutting the 22.5-degree joint as before. For the middle section, the first end is cut with the 22.5-degree profile. The worktop is placed in position. The line for the final cut is marked, and the 8.5mm jig offset is allowed for. The jig is clamped in position along the line, and the final cut is made. The middle section is placed in position, and the joint checked for alignment. The recesses for the panel connectors are added in the same way as the right-angle joint. If access to the joint is difficult when in its final position, the connectors and biscuits may be fixed while it's still on the workbench. An aperture can be cut in the middle section using a template with the same guide bush for the hob. The same technique can also be used to cut an aperture for the sink. The cutter follows a clockwise direction when cutting with the template, giving a perfect fit. In some mitre corner locations, the width of worktop may mean that a triangular section needs to be filled at the rear of the corner section. It's usual to make a feature from the gap by creating a raised plinth in the corner. The peninsula feature can be created using left and right-hand right-angle joints. This connects 2 sections of worktop to a third section at 90 degrees, or like this, as a freestanding length of worktop. The end of the peninsula section can be finished with a curve. The Combi 1001 jig provides white dot location bush positions for creating this effect. The Combi 1001 also allows 2 other similar edge finishes to be applied. The first of these is the corner radius, which is produced by using the black location bush positions. The other type of end cut is a simple 45-degree finish, which makes use of the grey location bush positions. The cut edges of the worktop are finished with strips of laminate, fixed to the worktop edge with impact adhesive. Trend post-form worktop jigs, cutters and accessories are not only for kitchen fitting. They are also used for fitting out hospitals, schools, laboratories, restaurants and other demanding contract applications.